There. They will. You can see here they will help you to create a web application. Give a name. And tag is optional. Key value is optional. And to that. Then you want to choose the platform. You see, you can run so many type of programming platform supported. .NET, Go Java all this. Okay, let's see. I choose Python. Okay. What is the platform? Right. What is the version? Right. All this you can choose. Okay, and the application code. Right. They got some sample code, or you want to upload your own code here. Okay. Right. You can choose. Let's say I use a sample code lah. And then after that, you can see that's it sahaja. Yang lain after that is create the application already. Okay. Tapi kalau you want to do some customization boleh. You just click here configure more option. Faham? So easy. You see or not? Then when come to here, then you want to edit all those things you want to take control one. Okay. You boleh edit sini. You see or not? Because you can see here, it's based on, they will tell you what software is already enabled. Do you want to kalau it's already disabled, kalau you nak enable, then you boleh enable, come here and enable. Contoh like X-ray. X-ray is the application they can measure your latency one. Then because sometimes you got other user complaints to respond, so you don't know where's the bottleneck because maybe you are going too many tiering of application. So you play run this X-ray, they can analyze for you per tier what is the response time. So right, all this you see. So basically, but by default, you don't need to worry. You understand? Now the EC2 they also set up for you, just like tadi the Opswork. They also automatically set up the EC2 for you, kind of. Then they will tell you what image. Tapi kalau you nak tukar, you still boleh tukar lah. Tapi kalau you tak nak, you just want to run default, you boleh. Okay? That is what you call the what? Yes. That is what you call this beanstalk. Okay, so very easy to set up. All are taken care of for the bottom layer, up to the application layer. You just need to bring your code again. So that's why kalau kita compare all these four service, kind of, which one yang paling senang one? Which one? Paling convenient? Which one? Among four, which one you akan pilih? Paling senang? Among all these. EC2 Tapi EC2 you kena, of course lah, EC2 sebab all the while kita go through kan not. Tapi kalau if you look at the last step, when I say paling senang is yang involve paling sikit step, paling beanstalk kan. You see or not? Tadi I just a few click aja not. I just specify what code, what programming language, then what is the version. That's it, not. Tak payah lagi configure apa-apa. Tapi EC2 you see, we still need to specify quite a lot of things kan, betul tak? We need to specify what? AMI lah, instant type lah, kan not? What VPC lah, tapi this one tak payah, not? Right? Opswork we also need to do a lot of things, quite comparatively means beanstalk paling senang, followed by Opswork. Tapi CloudFormation, of course, you kena specify all the necessary property, right? This you kena prepare the template Tapi yes.
Boleh tunjukkan sikit macam mana nak guna domain sendiri tu tak?
Kalau you nak guna itu domain sendiri in the beanstalk okay, let me see Kalau you nak guna domain sendiri in the beanstalk, okay, let me check this one. Tadi, let's go to the beanstalk again Okay, let's go back tadi. Let's see other networking, other anything about the domain. Let's see I think domain should be under the network kan. Correct. Let's check edit.
Tadi dalam slide nampak dalam root 53 tu cuma tak tahu yang mana.
Which one? You're talking about tadi when I
dalam your slide tadi.
Dalam my slide. Okay. On my slide. Okay. Let me show you which one? This one.
Yes.
You can resolve your own domain name to this domain name with the root 53. Okay. Yes, you boleh resolve, correct. But on the details tab, let me find out for you. This one I also belum cuba lagi. Okay, I'll come back to you later on. During the break, I'll look for you this one. Good question. Okay. So next, with this we finish the chapter lah for this then later you will do lab 5 lah but you will do, I think today kita tak ada masalah maybe at night only you will try, atau kalau you boleh cuba tomorrow lah. I will try to push kalau Saturday lah okay, later I'll let you know, we see whether can extend to Saturday or not. Okay. So tapi as I told you already, every lab you ada 3 kali lah to try So in this lab kita akan pakai cloud formation to so that we can deploy the infra in a consistent, repeatable manner. So you will deploy the this cloud formation for the network layer, which is VPC. After that you akan run the EC2 that is application layer You contoh you can run a web server EC2 on the network layer. So you will also update the stack. Update the stack basically means let's say the stack is already there, then you want to do pertukaran. Right? Delete a stack that has a deletion policy. So basically when you delete the stack you boleh specify what is the setting you want CloudFormation to do. You want to, let's say you want to retain certain you want to retain those resources okay, or you want to retain the snapshot, okay, all those you boleh specify in the deletion policy. Okay, so you try other 20 minutes but it will take 20 minutes but no problem. You got sufficient time to do the lab. So kalau tak ada question, come, let us move on to the next topic. In this case, let us move on to the let me open up. The next topic is about module 10. Let me open up module 10. So you are evaluating this AWS atau you already implemented already for some workload? Can I check? Ada ya? Are you implementing this or belum lagi?
Evaluating.
Evaluating, correct. It's good lah. Good to evaluate. Okay, come. Let us move on to module 10. Module tadi kita dah cover module 9, kan? Let us move on to module 10. Module 10 is about catching. Catching, of course, this one we will talk about 2 levels of catching. Okay, kita akan talk about the catching for the web server and also catching for the and also catching for your this database. Right, there are 2 solutions provided by AWS in this course. So you can see, let's look at the overall design again. Kita dah cover all this lah, correct not? Route 53, CloudFront, S3 bucket. Okay, tapi the key focus for this is to do this CloudFront. Actually, we did mention CloudFront is to do catching, but now later we will go in depth about this CloudFront, how we can configure. Kita tak ada lab for this CloudFront, tapi as I told you already, I ada itu lab guide extra in the OneDrive. You boleh follow. I will show you what is the end result. I will click and how to browse the CloudFront. So you see, tadi in my demo, in my console, I dah configure the Route 53. Point to a primary CloudFront, whereby my CloudFront will point to the S3 bucket as a primary. My S3 bucket will have the index HTML page that will serve as a web server. Tapi I also specify the failover. Basically, in my demo tadi, I make the CloudFront down so it can fail over to the secondary region, secondary, which is my application load balancer. You see or not? So that's why your this you can use the Route 53 to point to the CloudFront. Then you can point to the S3. CloudFront can point to the S3 that house a static web server. And CloudFront also boleh point to your application load balancer. Of course, your application balancer will distribute the traffic to your EC2. Right? Okay. So then, that is the catching for the web server. Right? Then for the catching for the databases, kita ada this solution, which is the Elastic Catch. The solution name is Elastic Catch, and they got 2 mode. One is based on Memcache. The other one is based on Redis. Redis. Okay. So I will show you my console based on Redis one. Okay. I didn't have the Memcache. I only got the Redis. Redis is free tier. Okay. Redis when you start free tier, when you're trying to try, you are the free tier because they are the T2 micro for you to set up to form the cluster. Okay, later we'll talk about that. So, right now, let's move on. The requirement first. Your infrastructure capacity is constantly being overloaded with same requests. So this is inefficient because this can increase the cost and also the latency as well. Kind of. So because we know AWS, let's say you charge when you run the EC2 web server, right? When you run EC2 as a web server, kind of, then basically your web server is overloaded, kind of. Then basically, of course, it will cause latency, and this will cause complaint. And so we're going to talk about the caching overview, how we do the edge caching. Okay, edge caching basically means because the caching is a service provided by CloudFront, is a service provided by edge location. That's why we call it edge caching. And database caching, that is referring to the elastic cache. Right. So now let's look at the overview of caching. So in the real life environment, contoh sekarang this is your house, right? And now you have to go to the pergi this hardware store to get the hardware every time, and it will take 30 minutes, okay, for you to travel. Okay, so that's why this is very time consuming. Okay, right. Tapi kalau you got the tool shield, kind of, this tool shield is dekat to your house. So what you can do is that you will buy all the hardware one shot, kind of, betul tak? And then all the hardware you will store inside this tool shield. So whatever hardware you perlu later, you will just make a trip to travel to this tool shield and get the hardware. So you can see because it's a little bit dekat to your house, therefore it's only take 2 minutes. So this one will minimize the delay, betul tak? So this is the same concept when we apply to the web server caching. Sama concept aja, kind of. The web server caching will help you to reduce the latency. Okay, because it is nearer. Let's put it that way. Because it is nearer to your client. Your house here is your client. Okay. So now, what should I catch? Okay, here. Okay, what are the types of data that you boleh catch? Firstly, look at data that require a slow and expensive query to acquire. Right? Contoh, let's say this is related to database. You see, for the SQL database, we know they can perform this join, kind of, right, operation on multiple tables. So that means that when they do the kind of, they can do the query, they can get the output from multiple tables. So of course, when you do this kind of join operation, typically they akan lebih lambat, kind of, and more expensive. So this is, of course, this is also is a good candidate for you to do caching for the database side. Kalau you got this type of very complex kind of query. Second one, relatively static, frequently accessed data. For example, a profile for your social media website. Let's say you have the Facebook account. I think everybody got Facebook lah, atau IG kan, Instagram. So you will set up the profile. In the profile, you will state when is your birthday, kind of, what is your first name, last name, what is your educational background, all these, what company you are working at. So this profile, you seldom need to tukar, kind of, right? Betul tak? They are relatively static, okay? Unless you when you change up the time, of course you will tukar lah, kind of. Tapi you also not like every 1 month you go and tukar the job kan, every 1 month you go and hop to other job, kind of. So that's why you seldom need to tukar. Tapi when you got new friend, okay, right, join your Instagram, right, then of course, or Facebook, then they will need to view your profile. That's why frequently access data. So this type of data also suitable to catch. Next, information that can be stale for some time, such as publicly traded stock price. I think most of you got experience to trade stock in KLSE lah, correct or not? Kuala Lumpur Stock Exchange. So for those that experience, you know, you can go to the portal there, and the portal will change, correct or not? Basically, because the stock price is changed very frequently one. And kalau the portal tak update, right, in a very frequent manner, the price is basically outdated already, correct or not? You know, there are some investment bank portal, dia punya update frequency very low, very slow one, you know. So the price they quote is always outdated one. Tapi now most of the investment bank they update those kind of price as for the trade stock very frequent one. So basically in this case for this type of things, for this type of information that can be stale, that means can be outdated, right? When you want to cash, you need to check what is the application tolerancy. Tolerancy basically means your user when they access this kind of information, can they tolerate those outdated information or not? Right? Okay. Tapi kalau your application can tolerance, they can this kind of outdated information, then it's okay. Correct or not? Tapi they cannot, then because you know, right, basically so because they are not happy with the price of the stock when they look at the price of the stock, because it's not the latest information. Okay, so in this case right, that's why this kind of information, very sensitive information, they need real-time data. Okay, they need real-time data. Right? That's what we call real-time data. So benefit of catching, you can see that it can help you to improve the speed. This one you mentioned, they can elevate the burden of the time-consuming database query, because when you have the catching for the database, then the application, when they access, they don't need to access the database. Correct or not? They will access the database catching service. So then this will reduce the burden of the master database, and it will reduce the response latency as well. Latency here basically means delay. Now, types of catching for your architecture, they are the dual journeys. You got the client side and the server side. Let's talk about the server side here. Okay, in this case, contoh, you have the web server, correct or not? And in this case, we have a reverse proxy cache. This reverse proxy cache basically is sitting in front of the web server. So every time when the web server responds, correct or not, then they will cache the response. They were able to cache the response, correct or not? So let's say subsequent request, then basically they will go and the subsequent requests then they will go and if the object is already cached, they will get it from this reverse proxy cache. Tapi for the client side web browser cache, in this case is the browser, correct or not? Is the browser that store your data, right? So let's say the first request, they get the server reply, get the content already, then the content is stored inside the browser, the data is stored inside the browser. So for subsequent requests, for the repeatable requests, then of course the browser will, correct or not? Right, basically the browser can provide the information directly, right? So when it comes to this kind of client-side catching, right, your HTTP cache header can provide the details on how long the browser can fulfill future response from the cache. Okay, so in general there are two types, okay, right, that is on this client side and the server side. For this reverse proxy, just want to add on, basically they can help you to improve the performance of the website. Okay, right, so they are catching the HTTP response from the server. So right now, as for AWS, just as I thought, we're going to talk about the two types of catching. One type of catching is basically for your web server, okay, and one type of catching is for your database. If we look at the data journey, dari itu user, let's say now they want to access this web server, okay, so they will access from the internet, okay, and when they access the web server, then basically the web server need to fire API to access this app server. Then the app server, let's say contoh is the ordering server kan. Dia akan, once the user confirm the order, dia akan update the database. So right, that's why the catching of course is in front of the database lah. So actually this is the flow lah, kind of. You hit the web server, and then app server, then database. After that, the response is as shown in the blue color line. Tapi sekarang now we want to focus kalau kita ada catching on the web server, in front of the web tier, right? So right, let's look at these catching services that provided by AWS. So this is what we call the CloudFront service. CloudFront service. CloudFront basically is a service that can deliver the content delivery networking. So this CDN provide you the ability to use the global network of each location, right, to deliver a cache copy for your web server content. Remember we mentioned about the edge location, masih ingat tak? Right, where's the in Malaysia? Malaysia is a edge location or not?
Yes.
Yes. Where's the lokasi?
Kuala Lumpur.
Kuala Lumpur, betul. Correct not? Right. And then now you can see Singapore. You see, Malaysia one is the blue color one. Singapore one is purple color. Purple color means is that Singapore island got multiple edge location. But of course, AWS will not reveal the exact location, the exact address for security reason. And then you can see there is another circle, orange circle. Nampak tak? This is the regional edge cache. Okay. Now, what is the difference between regional edge cache and the edge location? The regional edge cache basically is used to is used to store those less frequently catch object. Those object yang less accessed by the user one will automatically push dari itu edge location, dari blue color punya to this orange circle. So this is automatically done by AWS one. That's why they are running a tiering kind of architecture. Okay, right. So that means the edge location will store those frequently accessed object. Tapi the regional one will store those less frequently accessed object. So that's why we say CloudFront is based on the global content delivery networking. It is optimized for delivery use case with multi-tier. Right? Why we call multi-tier? Sebab there are two tier. First tier is the what? Regional edge location, then followed by the regional edge cache. So this regional edge cache is run by default one. Kita tak payah configure. And they provide additional layer of security for your architecture because kita boleh configure satu layer 7. Right? Layer 7 firewall rules. Right? This which is the name for this firewall rules is called WAF, Web Application Firewall. Okay, it's optional lah. Tapi you boleh configure this WAF. After that, you boleh apply on the CloudFront. Okay. Then they support this WebSocket protocol. This WebSocket protocol, not just only HTTP, they also can support this WebSocket. HTTP is running based on TCP lah. But for this WebSocket protocol, they can remove the overhead of your TCP. Sebab they don't need to constantly open the new connection. Okay. Because basically the connection for WebSocket akan remain open until it is specifically request to close by your client atau by your server. With this, sebab dia can maintain to open the connection, that's why they can help you to save overhead. So this WebSocket protocol also can be supported by CloudFront. Now, contoh, let me show you how CloudFront can work in this slide. Let's say sekarang I'm Brian. This gray color is Brian. So now I want to access this web server hosted by S3 bucket. Okay, contoh is in Singapore region, Singapore lah. Okay, now I'm Klang. So I go to, because when you configure CloudFront, CloudFront will give you a domain name. Well, they will generate an endpoint or address. Then you will let Brian, this user, to browse. So of course, when Brian browse, of course, you'll be directed to the the nearest edge location. Kind of. Where's in this case where? Klang, Malaysia, where? Yeah, ada satu aja kan, correct. Ada satu KL aja. So in this case, then because this is the first time, let's say I want to view a photo from this web server. So because this photo first time nobody requests yet, so it will be cached inside the edge location KL. So it's not there lah. So that's why there's no catching. So then the edge location KL go and check with this S3 bucket in Singapore. So S3 bucket Singapore got the photo. So then they will reply this photo to the KL edge location. Then KL edge location will cache this photo. Okay. At the same time, transfer to Brian. Okay. Then later on, you want to you want to request the same photo that I will view tadi punya. Where are you located? Tell me. Where are you located? You located dari mana? Where is your office? Where is your university? Your address?
JB.
JB, yeah. JB.
Yeah.
Okay. JB. Okay. So JB, when you browse the edge location, okay. Right. So again, it will be directed to the nearest edge location. Please take note. It's not, you see, JB kan. JB Johor Bahru. Kalau kita compare the distance, of course JB is lebih dekat to Singapore kan. Betul tak? Dari KL. Kan? Betul. Tapi because you are browsing the edge location, remember you are not browsing the endpoint address of the bucket S3 bucket already. You are browsing the the edge location address. So that's why you are routed to, of course, UKL. And at this point of time, dia sudah ada this KL, sudah ada the photo. So it will respond to you directly. The edge location KL tak payah go and check with the bucket lagi. By default, whatever the object will be cached at 24 based on the TTL. We call it time to live 24 hours. So tapi you boleh tukar this timer. Okay. Now, what type of content you can catch in the CloudFront? There, you boleh catch those, right? Let's start from the bawah. Static is like image right? Or this HTML, whatever. Then, you also boleh catch the video, like those HTTP streaming or support video. Then, the dynamic content here referring to customizable content. Contoh, you dah set the TTL to 0. 0 TTL. 0 TTL basically means when you want to access this kind of dynamic content, right? Basically, it still can be cached in the CloudFront. Tapi even though this dynamic object is inside the CloudFront, every time the edge location, the CloudFront, when you search, when you go and try to access this dynamic object, edge location kena go and chat with your web server sebab dia akan check web server, is this the most updated information or not? So it still boleh catch. Please take note, even though it's kosong TTL. Next, secure. Secure here is referring to those based on HTTPS. Right? So that is based on SSL. And user input, this is including those HTTP method such as put, post, or these kind of. So semua boleh catch all this content. So how are you going to configure the CloudFront? There are 4 steps. Okay, I will show you my demo in the console. Then only we break. So let's say maybe I drag on to 1:15. Then we will come back at 2:15. Okay, can? So look at the 4 steps. Later I will explain. I will show you what I have did in my console. So firstly, you can see when you configure the CloudFront distribution, you can specify the origin. So your origin can be an S3 bucket, like you bought in the lab 1. You remember you store an index HTML page, then you boleh make the S3 bucket as a web server already. Right? Atau you boleh make the EC2 as an origin, whereby your EC2 is acting as a web server, atau you boleh point to the right, your application load balancer, correct or not? Because your application load balancer will point to your web server, correct or not? Atau you boleh point to this grey color box. This grey color box is your on-premises server, pun boleh. These are all called what? Origin from CloudFront perspective. So basically, you have to configure when you configure the CloudFront distribution, you have to specify the origin. You boleh configure multiple origin. It's not one distribution, one origin. One distribution, you boleh point to multiple origin. Next, after you specify this, after you set up all these things, they akan distribute the setting, the CloudFront distribution setting akan propagate to the they akan get the DNS name for your CloudFront distribution. Then the setting for your CloudFront akan propagate to semua edge location. Okay, so this is not the content yet, because you must remember the content dia hanya akan cache in the web server when the user requests. Correct not? Kalau user tak request, the content will not be cached in the CloudFront punya. Okay, remember that. So that's why the propagation here is referring to the configuration of the CloudFront. Now let me show you how this can be done in the console. I've got the lab guide lah. Later you next time you boleh, when you got the test account, you also boleh based on my lab guide and you boleh buat sendiri lah. Okay, so this is the CloudFront distribution now. You see, I dah set up already. I will highlight some main point lah. Okay, so you can see when you do this CloudFront, you will, maybe I just show you quick one. Okay, you click create, create distribution. You can see you click get started. There, you specify the origin domain name here. You see here, this one, this auto-populated one. You see your S3 bucket lah, correct not? Kalau you ada itu load balancer lah, all the load balancer address all will be here. Faham? You see Elastic Beanstalk pun boleh. You boleh point the Elastic Beanstalk as the origin. Okay. Then let's say I point S3 bucket lah, whatever. Bucket. Then origin path here. This path basically you will specify. This is basically you can see you want the CloudFront request your content from a directory in your S3 bucket. Okay, right. So you boleh set this directory name with the slash. Right. If not, then you don't need lah. It's optional. Then you want to enable the origin shield or not? Right. Okay, origin shield. Shield, remember? Shield basically is to prevent the DDoS attack. Okay. Right. So then this is the origin ID lah. This is the ID you boleh customize. Sebab maybe you will have many distribution. So you want to set the ID to be user friendly for you to identify easily. Okay. Then you boleh set restrict bucket access. Let's say when you say yes, that means the S3 bucket cannot be accessed already. The S3 bucket cannot be direct access. The S3 bucket can only be accessed by this CloudFront distribution. Right. So then you got this origin connection attempt berapa kali what is the timeout, okay, and you boleh set this origin custom header or this right. So tapi I didn't set lah. These are all optional items okay. You boleh custom but I want to show you the important one okay. There the path pattern okay is default. And you boleh set you want to allow HTTP and HTTPS atau HTTPS aja, atau when somebody browse HTTP you will auto redirect to HTTPS. So kalau you nak buat HTTPS for your CloudFront distribution, you kena apply a certificate, right, digital certificate, and AWS ada satu service AWS Certificate Manager for you to apply the cert. Okay. Right. So tapi kita tak cover this service lah. Just to let you know right. And you boleh specify what is the allowed method. Sorry, other question somebody, I think somebody unmute already. Is there any question? Tak ada If not, then I will mute. because I want to avoid background noise. Sorry. Okay, right? So then you boleh set what is the allowed HTTP method. Is it GET or HTTP GET? You know GET, right? Is read. HTTP head. Head means hanya itu header aja. HTTP header, tak ada content. Right? Okay. So all this lah, or you want to have other post all this, or to access your CloudFront. Okay. Then you got many settings there lah. Okay. So all these are optional. Okay. The one I want to show you is this one. Legacy caching setting. There I want to show you. This is the timer lah. You boleh set there. Default is what? 86. This is based on this minute. This is basically mean 24 hours. By default, they akan store for 24 hours. Okay. Then after that, you got other setting lah, many lah. You want to enable streaming or not? Or you want to compress the object or not? Okay, I want to highlight this one. This edge function association. This one basically you can say when there's a request, hit your CloudFront, okay, right? Or when there's a reply from the origin, you can trigger special Lambda function. Then of course you must configure the Lambda function to do certain automation tasks. Lambda we will cover later on. And okay, this one is important. Price class. You can see you want to this distribution you want to apply to semua edge location or not. Of course, kalau you apply to the whole world edge location, this will give you best performance. Atau you hanya nak apply to certain region aja. Nampak? Africa, Middle East, Asia, all this. Okay? Atau you hanya nak apply on US, Canada, Europe. So you ada 3 setting for the price class. And then this is to configure the web. WAF. Remember this one? This is the layer 7 firewall rules. Betul atau salah? WAF. Web application firewall. I mentioned tadi. Is it a layer 7 firewall rules?
Yeah.
Yes, you boleh filter based on the HTTP header or these. Okay, you boleh set satu alternate domain name. Okay, right. Okay, so all this you boleh set lah. Okay, so I already configure already. Let me show you. Now, quick one. So I'm going to enable this. So I point to a S3 bucket. This is the S3 bucket like your lab one. My S3 bucket contain an index HTML page. So I will browse to this H3 bucket. So then let me enable this because after you configure it, you will disable. So it will take some time. Should I enable? Okay, right? In progress, you see or not? Wait for a while. But before that, I want to show you some other setting. Now, you come to after you configure it kan. Tadi I point to a satu S3 bucket in my setting, tapi you boleh tambah. You see or not? That's because tadi in the screenshot dia hanya allow you to point to satu origin. Tapi sini you boleh tambah satu distribution, you boleh point to multiple origin. Contoh satu S3 bucket, satu you point to ALB, understand? Right? You boleh point to multiple or even your on-premises server. Okay? Then this error page, you boleh customize the error page. Faham? So means kalau people browse salah, you boleh customize the error page. Later I'll show you lah. So because I added this, I customize my error page. This error page name is error HTML. Inside the bucket also lah, same bucket lah. So you boleh customize this lah. And you boleh set this restriction. Restriction basically means, right? Contoh in this case, you can set because you tak nak certain country to browse your CloudFront. Because maybe this type of country, you know, there are some country that respect the copyright kan, or there are many pirated, or they do a lot of pirated thing, so you don't want them to browse your CloudFront. Boleh, you come here to disable it, blacklist them. Later I'll show you this. I ada buat this one. Invalidation, this one basically means kalau you update your web content server and sekarang you want to refresh semua content, you nak delete semua content that is stored inside the CloudFront worldwide. So you boleh come here and invalidate. Okay. So now before that, let me see if sudah ready or not my CloudFront. Sudah, still in progress. Wait for a while. Okay. Wait for a while. Okay. Meanwhile, I go to one slide. Okay, Ken? I want to finish the demo first lah. Just bear with me another 5 minutes, Ken? Ken or not?
Okay.
Then now, how to expire your content? This one I show you in the setting. You got the TTL, time to leave. Ingat? this time to leave by default is 24 hour. Tapi the setting is based on the unit is second. 86,400 second. So you boleh tukar this in the CloudFront distribution. Okay, it's set by you. Tapi you also see in the previous slide, kita boleh set this TTL to kosong. Kosong means the object still boleh cache or store by CloudFront. Tapi every time CloudFront kena go and check with the origin server. Hey, is this the updated object or not? So that is called TTL set to 0. Okay. So when you set the TTL to 0, the CloudFront akan pakai this header, if modified since header, to check with your origin web server, let's say S3 or your EC2 lah. Okay, so another way to expire means freeze out your content. Let's say your content you want to update, and also this is the second method. First method, tukar TTL. Second method, you boleh tukar the name of the object. Contoh, let's say you ada satu foto kan in your web server, right? The original name is header v1 JPEG or JPG. So you just tukar the name loh. Tukar a different name. So sekarang, even though CloudFront sudah cache the header v1, tapi when user request, dia akan request the what? Header v2, so in this case, the CloudFront check, name baser. So dia tak boleh respond this header v1 to the user already. Faham? That is how you boleh tukar the object name to expire the content. Third method, invalidate loh. Invalidate that means this one is trigger from the pakai API loh, from the console. I just show you kan. Kalau you enable the invalidate, dia akan force semua edge location punya content to be deleted. Okay. This one is subject to certain free tier lah. There's a limit on that. Kalau you buat invalidate, when you exceed the limit, they can charge you if you are having free tier account. So that's why, although here say they very expensive, it's true, it's very expensive, but you are subject to certain amount of free tier. Okay. Now let me see the CloudFront ready or not. Then I want to browse and show you. Then we can have our lunch break. Lama lah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
In this case, we come back. Can we have a break? Okay, everyone. Can we come back at now? It's 1:10 lah. 2:10 is okay, everyone?
All right.
Okay, because I will browse and show you lah. Then you can see the effect. Then you can see the effect. Okay, so let me put the time there lah. Okay, we continue at 2:10. Okay, thank you. Belum up lagi, I cannot show you.